Hi everybody, this is Andreas Nest, business coach. So today I'm talking to Glenn Turnbull, and he runs a company called FASTSIGNS Portsmouth. And I just want to learn a bit more about franchises, because this is a great franchise. It's a global franchise. I want to learn more about what it's like running a franchise. So Glenn, thanks for seeing me.
Hello Andreas.
Thank you. So tell me a bit more about, first of all, how did you get into the franchise? And I want to learn more why a franchise, and what did you do before? How did you kind of got down this lane of franchising?
Okay. Well, if we start from the beginning, my business career started in the typesetting industry.
Right.
And since then I've always been around the graphics business industry. So for the last 15 years I had a CD and DVD duplication business.
Right.
And probably about 3 or 4 years ago, you could see the writing on the wall that that wasn't going to last for much longer. So I still do a bit of that. There's still business out there, but not enough to make a living.
So is it a real niche market now?
Very much so.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have, I've invested in the equipment. It still works. Yeah. So we still have a business.
So what kind of clients use that still?
Predominantly now musicians.
Right, okay.
I have a few corporate customers still, whereas in its heyday it was obviously the way to get all your marketing materials out, etc., etc. So it was a much busier world. So I looked at a number of different business avenues. I tried a few.
What did you try? What didn't work?
I actually tried aerial photography with drones when they first came out. But I quickly realised you really needed to be a videographer learning to fly a drone, as opposed to someone that needed to learn videography and fly a drone. So the two was too much. and unfortunately, like a lot of business these days, there was already a race to the bottom 5 minutes after it started. So I moved away from that. And then a couple of years ago, a friend of mine said, "Why don't you have a look at franchises?" And I don't know about you, but I tended to look down on franchises. I think, what do I need someone else's help for to start a business? I've been running one for 15 years, and relatively successfully, I'd like to say. So why would I want a franchise? But anyway, I started looking. And I actually found a franchise completely out of the graphics industry, and it was in the motor trade. Right. And it was an existing franchise, so I was looking to buy the business and the franchise. But we couldn't agree terms, which with hindsight was a good thing. Okay,
because you think it wouldn't work for you? Or?
No, really it was a good thing in that it opened my eyes to I definitely wanted a franchise. Right. And with hindsight, whether I really wanted to be in the motor trade was another matter. It was around products. I did sign a non-disclosure, so I won't say what it was. But it was around products where people would only really need them once in the lifetime of the car. So your opportunities for repeat business were not that brilliant. Okay, well that's a challenge. I guess. So as I say, I'm pleased it didn't happen, but I came out of that experience having done my research, thinking I definitely want to move into franchise. A number of reasons. Probably most importantly, I needed to start a new business. I'm 54 years old, and I didn't consider myself to have time to build up a business from scratch. If you're doing it on your own, it's going to take you 4 or 5 years, easily, if not more. Whereas I would hope with a franchise, remains to be seen, that 2 years, 3 years time, we will be in a successful position. So I started looking again, and I found not FASTSIGNS, funnily enough, but another sign business. And as I mentioned earlier, I've been on the periphery of the graphics world, especially with the CDs, because we did printing and paper parts, etc. So I'm used to the graphics world. Signs look good for me. That particular company already had a franchise in Portsmouth, and I think Portsmouth is a really vibrant, exciting place to be operating in at the moment. There's more and more houses being built. We have great motorway connections. Southampton Airport, etc. So it's a very vibrant area from Southampton right through to Portsmouth and Chichester as well. So I particularly wanted to be able to operate within in Portsmouth. I then found FASTSIGNS.
Where did you find them? Do you go to
I went to a franchise ceremony in Birmingham. I can't remember the name of the show now, but it was a major one in Birmingham. And the guy, FASTSIGNS have an HQ over in the UK. So although they're an American franchise with 700 plus centres, their Dallas HQ employs about 100 plus people. But they do have an office over here in the UK, in the Midlands. So I met the guys there. And compared with the English franchise, I thought there's so much more behind this franchise. You know, the support, the backup. As I say, there's 100 people working in Dallas. I can pick the phone up to any of them. So you've got a really good backup to the system.
I looked them up before I spoke to you actually, and they've been going since 1985, right? So a long time. So they have a lot of experience.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. The other thing, once I sort of had those initial meetings, I visited a few of the franchises over here.
Right. Okay.
One of which is in Guildford, not very far from here, and he's been going since 1995. So probably a very early adopter of the franchise, and he's still going to this day. And everywhere I went to about 4 different franchises, which is a key thing to buying a franchise. If you go to the British Franchise Association, they'll say to you, go and see as many franchises as you can, and gauge your reaction to who you meet. Everybody I met, really friendly, very encouraging, wanted you to join the club. So it gave you a good feeling, and that's proven to be right. I can pick the phone up to any of the other franchises with a question. And they're more than happy.
And that is great, because I can attest exactly the same. When I bought the Action Coach franchise, or were looking into it, they had a process called the due diligence, kind of, understanding the franchise and what it is. And they wanted me to speak to at least 3 business coaches, And their remit was speak to one who's a high performing coach, speak to one who is mediocre, and speak to one who's not doing so well. It's just so you get a good average view of actually what's going on. And I have to say that actually really made the decision for me a lot easier in terms of, speaking to the actual guys that do it. Because it wasn't a sales pitch, it was, real life experience. So you had the same.
I had exactly the same experience. And again, I think when I went to a day at the British Franchise Association, which was hugely valuable. I don't think it even cost me anything. I can't remember. If it did, it was £20 or something. And I came away with that with so much knowledge about what to look for in a franchise. The sorts of things they said was, if someone does start selling to you, that should sound an alarm bell. If there's any special offers in terms of the price of the franchise, that should sound off alarm bells as well. Because if it's a good, solid franchise, they won't want to do it, and they don't need to do it. So I came away from that with some very useful information. The BFA were very, very useful to the whole exercise. I'd thoroughly recommend that anybody who's thinking of a franchise starts there, and then visit the exhibitions.
Absolutely. Do your rounds.
It's such a varied market. There'd be something there for somebody.
Absolutely.
It's huge. I don't know about you, I don't think we realise quite how many businesses are actually franchises.
Well, starting from the McDonald's,
Of course.
They're all franchises,
that's right.
Subways, everything.
Even Shell petrol stations.
Absolutely. There's lots of franchise out there. Well, it does make the kind of the principle relatively simple. You're buying a business out of the box, really. You don't need to be specialist in the field. All training will be given usually. So, why wouldn't you buy into something like this rather than completely learning something from scratch and then thinking you can create a business from zero? It's very hard.
It is very hard. And I think obviously we had lots of training. I went to Dallas for 2 weeks, training at head office. But I think more importantly than any of the training, it's the fact that when you're actually on the job working here now, you get stuck. You can just pick the phone up. You don't have to spend hours trying to research something yourself and wasting time. You can phone either another franchise or the head office, or I can contact the States. Somebody will have the answer to the problem.
So What do you find is like your biggest challenge at the moment? So you're starting, right? You bought the business, you're now in the business. So what do you think, or what do you find is your biggest challenge at the moment?
I would say the biggest challenge, if you're properly set up, is getting customers. I think it doesn't matter whether you're a franchise, an existing business, or whatever. Finding customers. That's the heart, and especially as a startup, because you've got no old customer base to contact, so you're purely just looking for opportunities.
So what strategies do you use to actually get customers?
There's about 2 or 3 really. So from the franchise model side of life, obviously, like every business, we have a pay-per-click campaign, direct marketing. And the plan behind that from the franchise's point of view is building up the profile of the business. And obviously that's not going to happen overnight. But what it develops is, rather than paying for a pay-per-click for a generic term like banner for school or something, if you've raised the profile of the FASTSIGNS name in the Portsmouth area, people will start searching FASTSIGNS.
Right.
And banner or something like that. And of course the pay-per-click costs for that are going to be demonstrably lower. But so that's that's going to take time.
Okay.
So initially you're spending money on generic search terms with pay-per-click. The other side that we've taken on, which was advisory from the franchise point of view, was an outside salesperson. They try to encourage all franchises now to have an outside salesperson.
What do you mean by an outside salesperson? Somebody who's not employed by you?
No, they're employed by us directly here by my business, but they're not just sitting here for the phone to call.
So they're field-based?
They're field-based, and they're out visiting people.
Right, okay.
And what we've found particularly successful in the Portsmouth area at least is good old-fashioned cold calling.
Of course, cold calling, making appointments, and then walking into companies.
The beauty with a signage business, because it's not going to work for all businesses, of course, is you can walk up and down a high street, pick on the independent stores. You're not going to be so successful with a chain, because decisions and controls are different, in a different geography. But small independent stores. And that we've picked up some good business by literally just going around and talking to people.
And so that principle of having an on-site, kind of not on-site, but an employed salesperson as part of your team is crucial, you think?
I think it's absolutely crucial. I used to be a salesperson, but when you're owning the business, there's multiple things you have to do. So having someone that's dedicated to just doing sales, I think is vital. Certainly with this type of business.
Absolutely. Because it doesn't sell by itself, does it?
No, absolutely.
You're in a very competitive market as well, aren't you? I mean,
there's a lot of sign companies. I suspect some of them have been around a while and maybe a little bit complacent in terms of following up leads and getting out there. So a new broom can be quite successful. The other thing that we are about to implement is I've taken on a part-time marketing person. Now FASTSIGNS as a franchisor produce a 12-month marketing plan every year. And talking to some of the larger, more successful franchises who are very sales orientated, they said it's really simple. Follow the marketing plan. If March says do this, do it. It will work.
Because obviously they've been doing it for a while now.
Exactly.
So you follow the marketing plan religiously now, whatever they say.
We will do. So we have a lady starting next month. Unfortunately, from our point of view, she had to give 4 weeks' notice. So you have to wait. But she has all the skills I think we're going to need, and she will follow that marketing plan religiously, and that should produce results.
Some good leads for you.
Absolutely. I think also, going back to what I was saying about pay-per-click, part of her job is going to be raising the profile of the brand FASTSIGNS in the Portsmouth area. So hopefully that will all come together.
So it's a bit of marketing and PR mixed in each other. So you having owned businesses before the franchise, What would you say, if you would give anybody a tip in terms of, the 3 biggest things to look out for having a business, running a business? What would you say, in your opinion, are the most 3 important things that you need to look at or look after when you are successful as a business owner?
I think there's money, of course.
Cash
flow. Not just cash flow, but making sure don't be underfinanced.
Okay.
If you've come up with a business plan and it says X, a bit like when you're building a house, you always have a 10% contingency fund.
Right. Okay.
You make sure you really think you've got enough cash, because it will always cost more than you think and take longer than you think.
Yeah. There's no quick wins, right?
There's not unless you're lucky. No, there's not. No. Marketing is key. Getting your name out there. Mm-hmm. When I started my business back in 2004, there wasn't much in the way of networking, for example. Yeah. It was. I'm sure there probably was, but the internet wasn't.
So it was harder to find networking.
Yeah, absolutely. Whereas, so I think if you're starting a business these days, you need to get to know as many people as you can.
Yeah.
It's not going to get you an order, but the more you go to these things, the more people know you, they trust you, and whatever service you're providing, they'll be talking to one of their friends and go, "Oh, so and so does that. Absolutely. You want to talk to them." Yeah. So again, it's not a quick fix.
It's not a sales platform. It's more like a trust building exercise.
Absolutely. So you need to go along to those sorts of things. Money again. You mentioned cash flow. Don't give people 30 days unless you really have to, or you really know that they're good for it. Yeah. You've got to
collect the money immediately on 7 days, right?
Keep the money coming in. I think the other secret weapon that people don't think about with a business, have someone's good at managing the money.
Mm-hmm. You're a finance guy?
I'm not so much a finance guy, but your bookkeeper or whoever. Mm-hmm. Don't think you can do it yourself. Yeah. And don't think your spouse should do it. Unless that happens to be their profession. But I think a lot of businesses think, it's only bookkeeping, you can do that. It's a skill on its own, and keeping hold of your money and making sure you're getting their money in is a skill, and managing that cash flow is vitally important. I'm lucky in that I do use a member of my family, but when I first started my business, it coincided with my mother retiring.
Right.
And she ran private hospitals on the business side.
Okay.
So she's very much overqualified for what she does for us. But certainly, I think that's the real secret of a successful business, is having someone to manage that money, because you can't do everything.
No.
You can't be doing a bit of selling and a bit of this and a bit of that, and then at 6 o'clock in the evening start doing your invoices and chasing the money up. You need somebody else to do that. Yeah. I'm sure people say, I can't afford to have someone doing that job, and I would say you can't afford not to have someone doing that job.
Great. So, are there any big events coming up for FASTSIGNS? Anything you're doing in the near future that is worthwhile looking up?
We've got a couple of things coming up. There's an exhibition in Portsmouth, local regional exhibition coming up at Pyramids in Portsmouth. Yeah,
gonna have a stand there.
We're having a stand there. That's towards the end of July, I think. I can't remember the exact date. Haven't done it before. So you have to test these things.
Test and measure.
If it works, we'll be there next year. If it doesn't, we'll try something else. We are planning to have a grand opening. Yeah. But we'll let everything. This is our second month, so we'll let everything bed in a bit further yet. But I'm planning end of August, early September. We'll have an open day, which I hope you'll come along to.
Absolutely.
So we'll have someone as a VIP to hopefully open that. Funny enough, I wrote a letter to them today, so I hope they come back with positive.
The VIP.
Yeah.
Okay. A cool VIP.
We'll see.
Okay, that should be interesting. So, great. Okay. Well, Glenn, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Andreas. Good. Thank you very much.
For you guys out there, remember what Glenn said about how important it is to have somebody to look at your finance and make sure that it's not you, that it's somebody with a clear view of finance and actually knows what they do about finance. So that's my advice, and that's what Glenn said. So have a good week, and I'll speak to you again. Bye-bye.